What's going on, everybody? How you doing? We are on Lights Part 3. So far, cool stuff. We're getting up to showtime. Let's check it out. Bam.
With the lighting truss assembled and ready to be raised, the team now stands by to fire up the lights and begin the troubleshooting process.
Got more than one light that's out now. Sometimes if one goes out and the other one's around it to start going out.
It's 8 hours to showtime in Quebec City, and the lighting grid is ready to be raised. It's now up to lighting technician Matt Tucker and master electrician Greg Haygood to try to troubleshoot any problems that may arise with the lights prior to raising the entire grid.
So it's 12 o'clock right now and we're running about a half an hour behind where we want to be. That's what's happening right now. This should be already up in the air. But now I'm off to front of house to set up the lighting consoles. That's next. Greg will finish up here making sure everything's working, and I walk away from the stage at this point. I don't usually come back to the stage unless there's a major problem, because my responsibilities from this point forward are to the front of house situation, the consoles, the control of all this stuff versus setting it up.
The measuring tapes are so that we get the right trim height on the truss so that everything is level all the way across, because it's real important. It's really more a safety issue, also sight line, but each motor point is only rated to hold a certain amount, so every bit uneven, every few inches throws the weight off more and more, so we just have to make sure everything's nice and level and looks good. This is all the power cables coming off into this area, which we refer to as dimmer beach. This supplies all our power for the entire lighting rig right here. All right. 3 inches high. Okay, thank you.
It's to let all the audience members that want to talk to us and converse with us during the show and give us advice about how to do our jobs, or maybe about what sound levels need to be adjusted. It's just to kind of give them a little hint.
Yeah, fuck off.
maybe we can't talk to them.
What the hell is that?
What's what?
What about the sound? You gotta make a crack about the sound too?
No.
Everybody has 2 jobs. The job they do and sound guy.
The job they do and sound guy.
That's exactly what I was talking to you about before. Remember when I was saying there's many personalities out here?
Yeah. See, listen to them. They're exploding over. All they heard was me say sound, something about sound, and instantly they assumed.
It's all material for the sitcom that's coming out.
They assumed that it was something negative.
Nobody complained about the park boys do. The only people that complain about the lights are the guys on the lawn.
Damn.
They're like, hey, those lights are too bright.
Point the light right
Let me turn that down for you a little bit.
Hi, Mom. Randy, yeah, I have to have you run that. I'm gonna have to climb up there and push the gray truss off the orange. They're all catching in there. Great, same thing control.
Oh, nice. Somebody hold them up.
Greg has spotted a problem in the grid. One of the larger sections of the S truss is hanging up on a smaller separate curve section. He quickly puts on his safety harness and heads up to separate the sections.
I'm good.
Jeez. No, it's a ladder.
This is a very dangerous part of the technician's job, working 40 feet high above the stage, with very little to protect him other than his safety harness.
Yeah, right?
Quickly to untangle the sections of the truss. Aside from the aesthetic problem of the lighting grid not looking even, it is also a great safety concern to the crew. They know that undue stress of one section resting on another could bring down the entire rig.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. Right now it's 2:45, and we're going to step through our preset focus positions, where Matt will go to the stage and he'll look at all the lights to make sure they're all working.
So what's happening right now is for each of the band positions, which includes 2 positions for Geddy, 2 for Alex, and just the 1 drum position for Neil. Each of those positions has between about 40 and all 125 or so lights aimed at that position. And every day when the lighting trusses go out to trim, each individual light will be maybe angled just a little bit differently, or the truss might be 2 inches further upstage than it was the other day. And so what we do is each of the cues in the show is built off of presets. And a preset is something that it's like a reference. So when we fix the preset, it subsequently will fix all of the cues that were referencing that preset.
And there's about 49 preset focuses. That tells the light where it's going in the course of the show. And a lot of those focuses are aerial, into the air. So it's hard to, you can't really focus those in the daytime when you're doing outdoor shows, so it's a big challenge. So we try to do as much of it as indoors as possible.
Unfortunately, there's enough movement each day that it's never going to be exact. Even though the lights, I mean, you can see this one's only off by, I mean, the center of the beam is, I'm looking at my shadow on the floor. I'm standing right behind Geddy's mic, and the beam just needs to move over and down about a foot. That translates to up at the light itself, maybe an inch move, you know. Go back to that one. The idea is to have the halo of light be strongest right at your shoulders. That's where you don't want it as quite as hot in their face. You want it to be right at chest height, because that gets even coverage for, you know, when the light's in its tightest zoom or focus. That way you know if this light gets washed out, which there's lenses that will make it so it's not quite as intense as this, it'll diffuse it out and it will stay centered around them, instead of being skewed way low or way high. Everything's usually working. I've actually got 2 lights up in the air that aren't working very well right now today. And once I'm done with this, we're going to have to decide whether we pull them out of the air or make it work somehow. Sometimes you can make it work if they're not really important lights. And I mean, really every light's sort of important, but there's some that even we, as like Howard and I out front, we won't notice if they're not working correctly. Certain lights you got to replace though regardless. And I think that one of them today is that kind of light, probably.
Matt decides to try and repair the lights without pulling them from the truss. Gregg is once again up in the grid in an effort to get the lights to fire up.
Jeez.
Down, and you know, I'm having some kind of a control issue with the X spots, and it starts at all the way at the end of the truss. And I'm not sure what it is. They keep blanking on it.
Tell them they're doing fire things here.
And they're doing stuff with flames down below you.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Fire in the hole.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because everybody has to still work. It's like,
Repairing each element takes time. Time that should be spent refocusing the lights. Matt and Gregg must be able to quickly come up with a solution, and they are keenly aware that they could cause a delay to the start of the show. Back in Quebec City, with 2 hours to showtime, lighting technician Matt Tucker and master electrician Greg Haygood have resolved their lighting issues, and the team is back on schedule. Matt is looking forward to passing along the good news to the show's lighting director.
Howard's demanding, as everybody in this business that does his job is. What makes it work between Howard and I is our attitudes and how how we interrelate as people is what makes it really work. Because if I got, you know, if I was easily offended, you know, Howard would be saying this and that and demanding, well, this light isn't working and this isn't working. And if I was real sensitive, maybe I wouldn't be able to handle how intense he is. But that's the case with most lighting designers. I feel like it's my job to, as his assistant, to try to keep him in a good mood when things start to go wrong and let him know that, you know, we got it taken care of.
Okay. Did you load in all the presets of every song? Do you go through every song? Sure? Because it takes forever to load in if you don't.
What's that?
Because it takes forever to load in if you didn't. And we have DW in, right? Okay, that's good. In the show, I use 10 man spotlights, 6 on stage and 4 in the house. And I'm calling and directing them during the show, and I actually call them subliminally. Like I've done it for so many years that it's really easy for me to call spots while running the show, and it becomes part of the choreography, which I really enjoy incorporating into the visual aspect of the show. Spot number 2 front, we'll go to whites. 2 front, keep it tight, and go. Every night I'm in the United States, I'm using a different IATSE crew running spot. I've got 10 different spot operators every single day. I prepare a spot meeting, run people through it, and hope for the best. Okay, so here's what we have.
These are local people?
I'll go slow for you guys.
Or venue people?
So Steve and Dick, spot number 3, drums. Bob and Jean, spot number 2, front, covering Alex, stage right guitar player. And then we have Pierre and Dom, number 1 front, Geddy Lee. Microphone position, sometimes he's at the keyboards. Okay, most of the time he's at the mic, his main position, okay? If I call a number, like say number 1, I'm not saying front or I'm not saying rear, it's both positions together. And once you're on headsets, I'll talk to you, make sure that we're all clear and you can hear me. If you don't understand what I'm saying, sorry, because I don't speak French, but I'll do the best I can to try to make it clear for you guys, okay? So have a good show. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you on the headset.
Cool. Yeah. All while this is going on, the sound's doing their thing. The frickin' pyro people are doing their thing. It's like, and Neil has been warming up since he woke up, right? He's just in that room, just doing his thing, warming up, right? Alex is taking a nap. And Geddy is bird watching. So, you know, like these guys are doing the real hard work. Geddy and those guys, the band, they're working for like, you know, how long is the show? 2.5 hours, if that? 2.5 hours? Maybe 3 hours? Is it that kind of band? They do like a Springsteen style show? 2.5 hours. 2 hours. Something like that. Cool. So yeah, that's right. They take an intermission. Yeah, so huge operation. Wild. And yeah, they have to do this every gig. And also, yeah, because they mentioned that, you know, lots of times they only get 1 day off a week or 1 day off every 10 days or whatever, depending on the tour. But these guys, and that's pretty common of a band that's more established, a band where it's an older band, they're going to have more days off because they're older. They don't need to just jam it in. They can be more leisurely, where a younger band, a band that is more starting out, even not starting out, even they've been doing it for a minute, depending on budget, it's like, no, we got to roll through this, because every day that we don't have a gig is a day that we're not making money, we're just spending money. So it's those kinds of things. Because like these people still need to get paid. Everybody still needs to get paid. It still costs money to have your buses and trucks and everything that you're renting out, you know. So it's a big operation. Very cool. All right. And yeah, I like that lighting guy. I like the whole lighting team, actually. These guys, both of those guys seem very cool. All right. So we got one more part of lights. And then... yeah, we got one more part of lights coming up. Be on the lookout for that.